Welcome back to the Speakeasy podcast. You guys, God put together like an accidental series this month. I love it when he does that. I don't have the forethought, but he does. And so this month has turned out to be a bunch of episodes that I think would be really great to listen to with your husband or even like your boyfriend, whatever. Somebody that you are moving forward in life with. Because we've talked about opting out of traditional insurance. We've talked about how we can use January to prepare for the year ahead of us. And now this week, and spoiler alert, next week, I have two absolute rock star pastors on to talk about family and marriage. This week, I am talking with Pastor Craig Thompson. He is the author of Fighting for Your Family. And we are talking about spiritual warfare and how that comes against families and tries to disable God's plan for moving forward, how we can run on mission, how we can be better together. If you look at the cover of his book, it actually says fighting with your family, but they scratched out with and replaced it with for. And that's really the direction of the conversation that we had today. I know from experience and then also just walking through life with people that a lot of the hard stuff feels like you and your spouse or you and your family just button up against each other and battling it out. And I can tell you also from experience that the good stuff really starts when you get back to back and you realize that your spouse and your family are not the enemy, that there are a lot of other things that you are up against. And that we just like went after it today and talked about how we accomplish that. How do you get back to back? How do you stop viewing these people as the problem and or the enemy? And sometimes it's humility, sometimes it's going first, fasting, prayer. We covered a lot of ground. And so if this is something that you have been struggling with from last year, pulling it into this year, I think this episode will really, really speak to you. And if that is not a season that you are in, or have come out of or have not yet walked into, I encourage you to listen because you still have an enemy that's coming for your family. And I think this episode will really equip you to stand firm against him. So before we jump in really quick, word from Cozy Earth. They are my absolute favorite for like the homey stuff. I've been talking a lot lately about being a homebody and really just embracing that. And part of that is having things in your home that just feel good, replacing like the crappy ingredients with things that are made quality. Their bedding, to die for. It's like cooling and comfortable, but also feels like a luxurious, warm hug. I've had their bedding for forever. And the best part is they have 100-night sleep trial that if you try it out and you don't love it, you can return it hassle-free. You probably won't. And they also have a 10-year warranty. So if you're looking for something like new bedding, new towels, pajamas, Cozy Earth, really genuinely, they are so great. So you can start the new year off right and give your home the luxury it deserves by going to cozyearth.com and use my code SPEAKEASY for up to 20% off. And then if you get a post-purchase survey, be sure to mention that you heard about them here. Let's get into the episode. Craig, welcome to the Speakeasy.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a thrill. It really is a thrill for me to be with you.
This is a conversation that my husband and I are having in real time all the time. And I think as we get into it, a lot of people that are listening are going to be like, yeah, this is what we are facing. And I could not honestly think of anything better to kind of open the year with than talking about fighting for our families. I think that 2025, as I talked to like my audience and friends, God drew a lot of us home. I think he showed a lot of us some of the ways that we have been distracted and revealed to us that like there's a fight at your feet that you maybe have not been giving the time, the attention, the spiritual energy to that it needs. And what can result from that is people going, I don't even know what the next step is. Like okay, great. Now I see it.
Mm-hmm.
Now what? And so I think this is going to be so beneficial for people. I would love to open just by allowing my audience to familiarize themselves with you if they are not already. So tell us a little bit about yourself and where Fighting for Your Family came from.
Yeah. So my name's Craig Thompson. You guys should have seen that in the title, but I am a pastor in a place called Camden, South Carolina, which is in the middle of South Carolina, just outside of Columbia, the capital. I've been a pastor here for almost 20 years. I have a husband to one wife, Angela. She's pretty awesome, and I have four kids that range in age from 18. So I have an 18-year-old son who's a freshman in college, a 17-year-old junior in high school daughter, and then a daughter that's in the eighth grade, and a son that's in the seventh grade. So we are busy. Our kids are like we understand what real life is. Our kids are
Hmm.
all athletes, so. They all play at least two sports, which puts us fall and spring. My oldest son plays football in college, and so we're chasing him all over the world. And my wife is a social worker, so we've got that part in our lives. And then I'm a
Yeah.
pastor, so that's kind of who we are. And as far as the impetus for the book, we've lived some of these things. We've lived so many of these things. There's a lot of personal stories in the book, and we didn't really get the preparation early on. And
Mhm.
by we, I mean Angela and I didn't really get the preparation early on in sort of premarital counseling to prepare us for a lot of the married things that we were going to need to deal with. And so she and I have always had a burden to just invest in other couples and to prepare them for marriage. And to some degree, I kind of had to live long enough to be able to write this book. You can't really write this book. You can live a lot of it, but you don't get to write this book too well at 29. But at 44, I'm still not exactly an old man. I look older than I am, but I always have to drop my name, my age there because some people think I'm like 60. So,
Whatever.
but anyway, you got to live long enough to be able to experience some of
Yeah.
this. So, the book is a process, and by process, I don't just mean the process of writing the book. We had to live this book for the past 20 years, but Angela and I've been married for just over 20 years. But I mean, most of it really in the last 10 years, we've just lived it, and we've seen the Lord bring us through it. We've seen friends and others within our church body and others around us that have really wrestled with spiritual warfare and just understood that like the family matters. The family is the very first institution that God created and ordained. And, if we're going to be the people that God's called us to be as the church of Jesus Christ in America and abroad, we've got to really dig in and be the families that God's called us to be.
Yeah. No, and I love that you're like, you got to live this. And you brought up like marriage counseling, and we had that conversation not that long ago of like, I was like, do you remember anything from our marriage counseling? And it was, the only thing he remembered was that we were advised to read Gary Thomas's Sacred Marriage, which
Okay.
made an impact for us, and we've like reread it since. But other than that, I mean, I feel like it was just very like flyover, you
Well,
know?
I mean, and I reference this in the introduction to the book because what I remember about our marriage counseling was that we were informed that we didn't need it. We
Oh,
we showed up to our very first session, and the guy, I think he's well intentioned, but
yeah.
he said, "Hey, Craig, you're going to be a pastor. Angela, you grew up in the church with good parents. I mean, y'all already got this figured out. You don't really need this." I was like, whoa, you haven't been married before. We desperately need you to tell us, what do we need to do to be the people that God's called us to be? What do we need to do to
Yeah.
find success in this, to be faithful to the Lord and to one another? And instead, we were told, "Good job." It's
You
like,
got
what?
it. You've already got it.
Well, we remember basically being walked to the edge of the plank and saying, "Jump, and you'll be just fine." So,
And I mean, and getting married really can feel like jumping into the deep end of
yeah,
something.
right.
I mean, you're taking on this person's family, their life, their struggles. And then one thing that really stands out for me is that if you are well, I want to use the word mated, but I feel weird about that. But like if you are well like matched, if you are a force for the kingdom, warfare is going to come.
Oh,
Like
100%.
that
Yeah.
we love that quote, like thieves don't rob empty houses. If you are going to make an impact, if you're going to further the kingdom, if you're going to raise small disciples, it's coming. It's not a if it's a win.
Right.
And so you have generations and generations of people that are just completely unprepared, that think that marriage, the hard parts of marriage are just going to be like figuring out sex or figuring out, where do we go for Christmas and how do we split our times among the families. And those things can be roadblocks and hurdles that we end up having to jump. But it took us a long time to kind of stop dealing with the small things that were between us and recognize that those were really manifestations of the large picture that we needed to get shoulder to shoulder on. And so I always like at the top of things when we're talking about these like deeply theological concepts to kind of define our terms, because I sometimes, we can Christianese our way into things and people are like, what do you mean by spiritual warfare? What are you even talking about? So how do you define that for people?
So spiritual warfare is really a battle on three fronts, and it's appropriate that we would understand that. Like you made reference to the fact that if we're going to be raising disciples, like we're gonna be attacked by the enemy. But the fact of the matter is, like, even if you're not raising disciples, if you're not living for the Lord, there's still spiritual warfare in your
Oh
family.
yeah.
The spiritual warfare isn't just battle with Satan and the demonic. Spiritual warfare is the battle with the world as
Mm-hmm.
well, and influences, but also it's the battle with our flesh. And the biggest battle, the greatest hurdle I face every single day, the enemy I face every day most regularly is the one that looks at me in the mirror every single morning. I get up in the morning and I've got to decide whether or not I'm going to go to war with my own flesh, and I'm going to put to death the deeds of the flesh so that I can live for Christ and live for my family. And
Mm-hmm.
unless I'm willing to do that, look, the devil has no reason to oppose me because I've already decided that I'm going to live selfishly, I'm going to live sinfully, I'm going to live in the flesh. And so at that point in time, I become the enemy in my relationship simply because I've decided that, my house is not the cross where I come to die daily, but it's the castle where I wake up to reign. And
Yeah.
that's something I have to fight. I mean, I like utopian ideals of I really do. Like I think it's
Yeah.
appropriate that I'm upfront and honest about that. I'm going to put in 8 hours a day, whatever, like everybody else. I got up and left my house this morning about 7 o'clock and got in here and I mean the hard first thing. It just kind of been one thing after another all day long, and I'm going to be with people today. Today's are days of meetings, and then I've got this podcast with you. Well, I'm going to get home this afternoon. And nothing would thrill my soul any more than for me to walk in the back door and to just announce, children, father's home.
Mhm.
And as I do, they rise up and they call me blessed. And Angela rushes to the back door and she says, "Sweetheart, take your shoes off. Your slippers are right here waiting on you." And I go sit down, and she says, "Hey, what do you want to do first? Do you want to go for a run? Do you want to go work out? Do you just want to sit down and wait for a while? Dinner will be ready in a half an hour, and I've told the children to go upstairs and to be quiet while you collect your thoughts, and then we'll all gather around the table and we'll have intelligent conversations, and everything's going to be wonderful." That'd be amazing, but that's not real
Right.
life. That doesn't happen in my life. But if I walk in expecting that that's what's going to happen, guess what? Like, there's going to be a clash. But the
Mm-hmm.
clash, honestly, in that moment, is not primarily between me and them. It's
Right.
me and me. It's me
Yep.
and me. I had a broken understanding of what my role is as a father and a husband. If my home is the castle where I come to rule, I am going to be at war with my family.
Yeah.
If my home is the cross where I die daily in the service of Christ and my family, then guess what? Then I'm at war with me so that I'm not at war with them. So,
Yeah.
the flesh is the first front in spiritual warfare. From there, we got the battle with the world, and that's all the things that come into us from outside. The scariest part about that is how much of the world that we just willingly invite into our homes,
Yeah.
willingly invite in through the entertainment choices that we make, through the recreation choices that we make. I mean, I'm watching families that are just abandoning the church for the sake of pursuing their child's recreational dreams.
Yeah.
Fact of the matter is often unkind. So I don't know if we're going to make your listeners mad here, but but truthfully, a lot of times these are just parents who are living vicariously through their children.
I
And
have, I'm actually interviewing a couple of guys about that exact topic in a couple of weeks. I swear in the last week or two, I have had multiple conversations with friends just organically talking about the frustrations of health insurance and how it feels like it's never there when you need it. And maybe this is keeping us sicker. You can't use it on what you want to use it on. And that is why I'm so thankful for healthcare insurance alternatives like Crowd Health. With Crowd Health, you pay a monthly fee for your family, and with that, you get access to lower cost prescriptions, lower cost lab testing, a list of vetted doctors, as well as a team that will negotiate your health bills lower. And then if something major happens, you pay the first $500 and then the crowd steps in from there and covers the rest. And there's just something about knowing that your money is going to help actual real people and not line people's pockets. And so this open enrollment, you can take your power back, join Crowd Health today to get started for the first 3 months for $99 by going to joincrowdhealth.com and using the code SPEAKEASY. That is joincrowdhealth.com, code SPEAKEASY. Also, Crowd Health is not insurance. This is just how we opt out and take our power back. And this is how we win. Joincrowdhealth.com. It's
so, yeah,
a Christian
um,
parent's guide to navigating youth sports.
and
It's a very real thing.
it is. And
Yeah.
can I just let you, like, a lot of parents aren't aware of this. So let me just let them know if you're not aware. And this is hard. I mean, my oldest daughter is going to play club volleyball this year for the first time in several years, just because she has 1 year of high school volleyball left, and there's not another opportunity. There's no rec volleyball. This is kind of it. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
so there's going to be a little more travel than we've done, honestly, and I'm not thrilled about it.
Yeah.
Uh, but um, but most parents aren't aware that you've got venture capital that's investing in youth sports right now.
It's a more
Venture
lucrative
capital.
industry than the NFL.
So, and I'm not 100% sure that's true. That gets bandied about, but it's a lot. It's a
Yeah.
lot of money. And not all of these coaches have your child's best interest at heart. They're lining their pockets. And even if the coaches aren't the ones, the people that are running the show, the people that are running the dance competition or the volleyball tournaments or the baseball tournaments, I mean, listen, we're in our own community. Guess what? Like, we just invested millions of dollars in a new baseball complex. And the thing that pushes it over the top was not, we're going to care well for the recreational needs of our community. No, 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 no. It was, hey, with this, we can attract more
Right.
tournaments that's going to bring more money into our community. When they're talking about bringing money into their community, they're not saying, "Hey, what's good for Johnny?" That was
Mm-hmm.
the question they got asked. But anyway, we digress. The
No,
world
yeah.
and all the things in it, and then you've got the battle with Satan and demons, and that's real. But
Mm-hmm.
that's the one that most people are thinking about. And what I would suggest is that for most of us, that's last in line. It doesn't
Mm.
mean it's not real. It just means in many ways, I don't even have to worry about that until I've gone to war with the other things. And if that's the only thing you're looking to go to war with, then you're going to be distracted by the fact that you're missing opportunities in the present to grow in godliness and sanctification by going to war with your flesh and by resisting the temptation of the world around you.
Yeah. And I think you can also see that kind of third tier play with that second tier of what you're allowing in. Like that a lot of the time the reason that you end up dealing with the actual demonic spiritual sometimes is because of what you've let in.
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, and like if you need a real life example of what that looks like, so you would look at something like drug abuse,
Mm-hmm.
big picture. I believe that what we're seeing with the opioid crisis in our culture, it's difficult to not identify the demonic in that, right? But so often that demonic is welcomed in by the personal decision to engage in illicit drug use. We see
Mm-hmm.
invitation of the demonic through social media in the way that
Mm-hmm.
different platforms or different social media opportunities. And that doesn't mean that all social media is bad. It doesn't mean that. You and I are going to promote this on social media, and I'm grateful for that. Nobody under the age of 16 should have the opportunity to see Craig Thompson or Blake on social media because there's just too much damage out there that's possible for
Yeah.
our kids. So,
Yeah. And I mean, we know a lot of people that are in the throes of having made a kind of uninformed decision about what they allow their children to have access to.
Yeah.
And now they're dealing with these like I think it's easy with social media, YouTube, all those things for it to feel far away. And then now it's in your living room. Now you're looking at this child that is unrecognizable, that's making decisions
Yeah.
far outside of their age range. And so the fight is on so many fronts.
And I mean, just not to make this too far out there, but there is reality that most people don't appreciate. Like I say, I live in a relatively small community, but I was told yesterday about an elementary school kid, who and this isn't like, oh, we saw it online, so this, but no,
It's
this
like
this
real.
this actually happened. An elementary school kid who feels like she's identifying as a cat, as a furry, right? So, like, I, we make light of these things because they're so ridiculous, okay?
It's
Um,
not funny.
but the fact that a fourth or fifth grader, like, where do they even come up with that idea? Like,
Mm-hmm.
they didn't go to grandma's house and grandma's like, hey, back when I was a little girl, we used to
Right.
like cats, you know?
Or they or kids that age do pretend to be things
But where do you
or
get that
love the thing.
affirmation, right? Then
Right.
you're jumping online and social media, and heaven knows it's a horrible thing to think about elementary school kids having access to those tools. But
Yeah.
either
Yeah.
way, I digress.
It is, but that is a very real fight that parents and families are having to face. And I
Yeah,
love that you kind of broke it into these different areas because you're right. I think a lot of people, when even just at the top of the conversation, when they hear us talking about spiritual warfare and fighting for your family, they're like, the devil's trying to, destroy my marriage. I mean, and that's not,
he
we're not
is
saying that he's
100%.
not, he
100%.
is.
Yeah, he is. Yeah,
Right. Right. But he's going to use, I
yeah.
think,
He
like
doesn't
he's
have
going to
to work
use
as hard if you're willing to partner in the process.
exactly.
You know, and
Exactly.
we're talking about marriage, and we'll come back to that. But just don't forget that fighting for your family means fighting for your kids.
100%.
And fighting for your kids is it, like let's just play the social media game for just a moment. Like, you don't have to give your kids access to social media. You don't.
Mm-mm.
They will be okay. They will hate you for it. Okay? They will hate you. None of our children have had access to social media before they were 16. At 16, they got one social media platform that they had access to. And people are going to listen to this and go, wow, look at the losers that he raised. Listen, like, first of all, if I did, so be it, but I didn't. Like, these are
Mm-hmm.
great kids. Like, they're
Mm-hmm.
they're popular kids, they're godly kids, they're athletic kids. These are kids that are thriving in every area, that are finding ways to get recruited, that are finding ways to be successful, that are finding ways to get scholarships, that are finding ways to have to be student government representatives, student body presidents. Like, and I'm not saying that to toot our horn. I'm saying that because, like, that has been something that we've shared recently with some parents whose kids literally are looking at them saying, if you don't let me have these social media things, then I'm never going to fit in. And
But
where
also
do they
fit
fit?
it. Do I want my kids to fit into like the world the way that it looks right now?
Yeah, and I hear that, but you're homeschooling, and
Mm-hmm.
that's great. We have a huge homeschool contingent in our church, um, but for kids, like, we do want to help them to understand that fitting in is not the goal.
Yeah,
But at the same time, you've been a teenager before too, and not fitting in at all does feel like you're wearing a scarlet letter.
absolutely. Yeah.
So, helping them to understand that there are ways that you can still be a part of the world around you
Yes.
without being 100% in the world, right? So when I use that word fitting in, not necessarily that your pushback is appropriate, but to help them to understand there's a way to be a part of it without
Mm-hmm.
being in it and without looking exactly like the world around you. And you can
Right.
do that. And
Absolutely.
and parents, I want you to know, like the moment you give them social media, what's going to happen? They're going to stop being kids. They're going to stop reading books, right? And unless you put serious restrictions on it, like, they're going to stop talking to you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's just facts.
Yep.
So, just be aware of that. I just can't say it enough. Just wait till they're 16. Like,
Yeah.
okay, have to be laggards, but just wait till they're 16.
Yeah.
Give them time to mature a little bit. Give them time. And are they going to be mad at you? Yeah. But guess what? If you give them social media, they're still going to be mad at you. It's just going to be about something,
Right. For a different reason.
right?
Right.
So you get to choose what they're angry about. And they're
Yeah.
angry about something that's good for them, as
Hmm.
opposed to being angry because they looked at all the things on social media that you wouldn't let them do, right? Like,
Exactly.
you know,
Exactly.
so
Well, and the conversation that my husband and I have had about that is that I at 37 struggle with regulation with social media. I think I'm going to hand a 12, 13-year old the access to all of this and think they are going to have the capacity to handle
the
it.
most
Like,
addictive device in the world, and you're handing it to your kid. You're
right,
not giving them a crack pipe at 14. I mean, but that device is more addictive
right,
than that crack pipe is.
right. Exactly. Yeah. And I think you're right that I see it as kind of like coming downstream when you're fighting for your family. Like you're
Mhm.
fighting your flesh, you're fighting to have that servant heart because you gave the kind of utopian vision of coming home. Like women have our version of that, right? We have our version where our children just are so they're helpful, they're willing,
Their rooms are clean, right?
their rooms are clean, and they did it with a great attitude, and our husband gets home early and he just jumps right in and takes over, and we don't really have to do anything but putter around and do what we want to do. Like we all have our versions of that, and if you're not fighting that, like you're setting everyone up
Yeah.
for failure, including yourself,
Right.
because then you're mad, then your attitude sucks, and everybody is feeding off of that.
So
And so, no, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I think in my wife's version of that utopian perfect world, I unload and load the dishwasher without needing affirmation. Like I do it and
Twice.
need her to tell
Yeah.
me how great I did.
Yeah.
Like I'll do it, but I need her to tell me how amazing I did at it.
Yeah.
I need those words of affirmation, and she just rolls her eyes a lot. So
Yeah.
I
She's
don't.
like, this is your part. Like you're doing your part. I'm not gonna
But it's not like it's like I stormed somewhere when I did that. So.
I love it. That's hilarious. But I think that it's all downstream, right? You're fighting your flesh, you're fighting for your marriage so that you can be a united front
Mhm.
to fight for your kids.
Right.
And what we have seen in our marriage, the biggest shift that happened, and I'm very like visual, and so the way that I saw it was we went from facing each other and being on each other and frustrated with that he doesn't unload the dishwasher, or that he doesn't communicate that he's got to stay late, or that his family did this or mine did that, to going back to back,
Hmm.
to like laying down our weapons with one another and going back to back. And you reference that in the book. I love this quote. You said, instead of viewing your spouse as territory to be conquered, accept your God given role as husband or wife and look to your spouse as a fellow soldier in a spiritual battle with eternal ramifications. Like, I love me some war words, some like that works for the way that my brain works. And I think that that was the shift for us, was like, you're not my enemy.
Right.
You are the best asset God has given me here in the natural to duke this out. And
Mhm.
when we stopped fighting each other, everything changed.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the for those that are watching. So the title of the book is "Fighting for Your Family," but we just crossed out the "with" and wrote "for" over top because that's what I've seen so often in marriage counseling is they come in and my first goal, honestly, is to move the conversation from with each other to with me, right? And
Mm,
we want to move from bilateral essentially to a triangle. I
yeah.
want that conversation to be okay. I don't want you speaking to her. I want you speaking to me. I don't want you speaking to him. I want you speaking to me. And then to help them to understand that the battle is not with one another. There's somebody out there. There's a force that would desire to destroy their marriage.
Yep.
And the mistake that they've made is fighting each other rather than fighting together against that. And so, yeah, that's it's. I'm glad that was transformational for you. I've seen it be transformational to so many people through the years when they grasp that concept that I'm not like I'm not here to win a battle. I'm not here
Mm-hmm.
to win a battle. And so often in marriage, we get wrapped up in winning a battle. You probably never been like this. You're so much nicer than me. But there have been times in my life when I got into a disagreement with my wife, and I was consumed with the idea that I was going to win that argument
Yeah.
or disagreement, as we might call it, in a G-rated version, and forget that in the middle of that, like I could win that argument, I could win that battle, but in so doing, I'm doing nothing but damaging my opportunities long term to win the war for my wife and for my family and for my marriage. And so, helping people to understand that it's not about winning a battle, right? It's a much bigger picture, and sometimes in the middle of that, I'm even willing to concede because it's not about me winning, it's about us winning.
Yeah.
And and when I can shift my focus, I'm not perfect at it. I wish I could tell you, but I wish I could tell you I did it every single time. There are times when my flesh, right? Because I'm a competitor, man. I'm competitive. If you want to play tiddlywinks with me, I'm going to smoke you.
Yeah.
Right? That is my goal in life. We play board games. I am going to cook you. That is what I want to do. And
Yeah.
I like to argue. It's just joy for me. Uh,
Hmm.
and so I've got to say, and I'm a pastor. I'm a preacher, which means I'm really good with words,
Hmm.
right?
That's lethal.
It is. And
Yeah.
so I've got to regularly step back and say, whoa, whoa, this isn't
Mhm.
about me versus you, right? This is about us together versus the world, right? It's
Yes.
me versus the world, me and you versus the devil, me and you versus whatever would come
Everybody.
bring division because this is you're my ride or die right here, and this is where we're going to be.
Exactly.
So
Exactly. My husband loves to say, if you show up trying to win, everybody loses.
that's a good word. Yeah.
It
Yeah.
is. It is. And he kind of I am similar in that I didn't participate a lot in high school, but I was in debate club. Like I love words, clearly. The girls got a microphone. Like I love to argue. But what's the problem for us was often that I can kind of I have that like they say like the waffle and spaghetti brains, like men can kind of compartmentalize and women often can't. I can when we're arguing. I'm like emotions are going to go over here and I'm maybe I'm not actually trying to hurt your feelings. I just want to be right. I just want you to understand that I am right and you are wrong and we should do this the way that I think we should do it. And then you get your feelings hurt and I'm like, why are your feelings hurt? This is logical. This is logistics. I'm not trying it, but that's not how relationship works. Like we hurt one another with our words, even if it's not your foremost intention. I think there are some situations where you're like, I'm gonna hurt this person because I want them to like, I want to come out on top. But even if that's not your intention, that is going to be the outcome because that's not how we're meant to communicate.
And that's kind of back to what you and I were talking about off air before we got on. Where you were saying that you think a lot of people need to understand that, like the beginning stage for so many folks in figuring out how to fight for their marriage is to get past this idea that somebody has to be wrong and somebody has to be right. But instead somebody's got to go first, and the going first usually means going first in an apology. Now, one of the things that I encourage people to do is apologize a lot. In
Mm-hmm.
previous counseling,
And to your kids,
to everybody,
to
like
everybody.
and this is why. Uh, I don't know. Years ago, I sat down with a couple. They'd been married for 20 years. 20 years, Blake. 20 years. And I looked at him. I said, "When is the last time you apologized to your wife?" This is a big, gruff, blue collar guy. This is not a librarian. Okay. This is a big dude, big beard, right? He probably had a gun on him. I mean, this is the kind of guy he is. And I asked him that question, and this joker starts crying in my office, the tears just rolling down his face. I said, "Man, what's wrong?" He's like, "I can't remember a time I've ever apologized to her." Transformational for their relationship. He began to tell other guys he worked with. He began to
Wow.
say, "You've got to stop trying to win a battle and you got to win the war for your marriage and you got to learn to apologize." Transformational. Okay.
Yeah.
Absolutely insane. But so many people never get there because this is what you pointed out. So many people never get there because they go, "Well, I'm not the one who was wrong.
Yep.
Should I be apologizing?" And I told you I would run to God's word for this one. So I'll
Please
be
do.
uh, Matthew chapter 17, verse 24. The Bible says, when they came to Capernaum, the collectors of the 2 drachma tax went up to Peter and said, does your teacher not pay the tax? This is like a temple tax. I'm
Hmm.
getting away from the mic. You still
No,
hear me
you're
okay?
good. Yeah.
Uh, and when he came into the house, Jesus spoke to him first, saying, what do you think, Simon? From whom do kings of the earth take toll or tax? From their sons or from others? And when he said from others, Jesus said to him, then the sons are free. However, not to give offense to them, go to the sea and cast a hook and take the first fish that comes up. And when you open its mouth, you will find a shekel. Take that and give it to them, me and yourself. This is a temple tax. This is a tax for those people who are entering the temple. And Jesus' question is very simple. Who owes the tax? Do sons of the king owe the tax? Oh, absolutely not. Well, guess what? This is Jesus's temple. He's
Yep.
the Son of God. He doesn't owe this tax. But he says, so as not to give offense, you
Hmm.
go get a coin for you and I, and you pay this tax. There's a lot of people listening to this podcast today who need to be willing to pay a tax that they don't owe.
Yeah.
It's not enjoyable, but if you're sitting around trying to decide, because it's back to what you said, we begin the process going, well, I want to be right.
Hmm.
Look, you keep wanting to be right, and that's all well and good, but you're not going to be righteous. And you're not going to find the victory in your family that you're looking for. Sometimes we pay a tax we don't owe.
Yeah.
It's a godly thing for us to do that. For goodness sakes, Jesus paid all of the tax he didn't owe on the cross.
Exactly.
And we want to sit around in marriage and go, well, he didn't unload the dishwasher. And until he apologizes for that, I'm not going to apologize. Or, she shouldn't have spent that $200 without asking me. And until she apologized, I'm not going to apologize.
Right.
Not
Or
all.
not even like until they apologize, I'm not going to apologize. People, I think, will take that even further and be like, until they apologize, admit they were wrong, I'm not going to love them. I'm going to withhold warmth. I'm going to, ice them out. And there's going to be this division. I think it can go even further than just the apology because the lack of forgiveness permeates everything.
And, and Blake, I mean, at least in theory, the majority of the people that are listening to this podcast claim to be believers.
Mm-hmm.
Um, how could we justify that biblically? How could and this is one of the things I talk about in the book. I talk about it in relationship to our parenting that we shouldn't crowdsource our parenting.
Mm.
And in the book, I make a really cool reference to it. This really neat cooler. I don't know if you remember it, but it was called the Coolest Cooler.
Oh,
And
yeah, yeah, yeah.
my wife Angela loved this thing. I don't know that it ever actually made a go. It was a Kickstarter campaign, and this cooler, it was why she liked it. It seemed like something a dude would like, but she thought it had like a blender and lights and
Uh-huh.
speakers. It was the dumbest thing. But it was a Kickstarter campaign, so it was crowdsourced. It was like they got online. It was like, what is everything you would want in a cooler, and then they just threw it all into one big thing, and then of course it probably did everything halfway.
Right.
I find a lot of people that crowdsource their parenting that way. They get online and they go, hey,
Mm-hmm.
little Johnny's struggling in Spanish class. What do y'all think we should do? Or little Johnny's pitching isn't great. Is there a good pitching coach? Or even worse, like my son keeps pitching fits and lying. What?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, whoa. Like, first of all, let's not throw little Johnny under the bus publicly.
Exactly.
And
Right.
little Johnny is going to grow up one day and see all this. But second of all, like if you're a believer, you need to be going to the people of God and asking those questions. You need to be going to God's word and asking those questions.
Mm-hmm.
So we shouldn't crowdsource our parenting, but I see a lot of people that crowdsource their relationships, and I will resist uh, speaking of professions for fear of alienating folks, but there are a few professions, especially for ladies, where I see there is potential and often a real reality of just division that comes about as a result of their professions creating unique opportunities for them to crowdsource their marriage. And so
Mm-hmm.
they go to work, and they're I'm picking on the ladies just for today. They go to work and they're upset with their husband. I don't know what he did. He did something. He forgot their anniversary. Let's just
Mm-hmm.
say big. He forgot. Like he just completely forgot it. Didn't just forget it. He scheduled a fishing trip on that day in advance, right? He did all the wrong things. And like he didn't even realize it. And he comes home and he's like, hey, you didn't remember my anniversary. And let's say for the sake of argument that he's like, oh my goodness, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Right. Whatever the case is. They go to work, right? They don't go to church. They don't go to their life group. They don't go to the Word of God. They don't even call their godly grandma, right? And they find the most ungodly people they could find. The people that are not involved in the church, people that are not
Yeah.
in the Word of God, and they go, "What do you think I should do?" And they're like, Psh, "I wouldn't sleep with him until he's willing to do all these things, and he does that." And they go, "Well, that's what I'm going to do." Whoa, 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 whoa! Like, how do you do that in Word? Like, we can't crowdsource our relationships.
Right. Yeah.
The only crowd that I've got to be going to, that I need to be going to, is the saints that God's given around me, the witness of God's word. Like that's the crowd I've got to be running to. And it's difficult for me to find consistent believers in the church who encourage married people to hold grudges against their spouse.
Right.
So
Well, and I think a huge issue can also be there are probably a fair amount of people listening that are like, I don't have that I could turn to, right?
mm.
Because we're doing marriage on an island. We're trying to do Christ-centered marriage without community. And that's incredibly difficult.
And that's so I operate under a set of assumptions that maybe
Mm-hmm.
I should clarify. I operate under a set of assumptions that if you claim to be a follower of Christ, you're plugged into a local church. And I operate under that assumption because the New Testament presents it that way. Like
Yeah.
there's an expectation in the New Testament. And if you are attempting to follow Jesus on an island all by yourself, like the thief comes to steal, kill, and destroy, right? What's the easiest way for the thief to come and steal and kill and destroy? It's to see those sheep that are all by themselves so that they
Yeah.
can just get picked off, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, whether you go with that analogy or for Peter, Satan's a roaring lion seeking those whom he may devour. Listen, you show up at my church, you show up with my people, and
Right.
seek to devour them. Like we're going to fight together,
Exactly.
right? But you get yourself all alone on an island, all of a sudden you are vulnerable,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
And I think you see that, like you can look around and see that the people that are, and I don't think, neither of us are trying to like beat up on anybody, but there are a lot of people that are that love Jesus that are trying to follow him, but they've either been burnt by the church or, they've moved, whatever, something bad happened at this church that they're not in church community. And I always tell people like some of the worst things that people have ever done to me have been at the hands of people that I was going to church with. And we still keep showing up. We still keep leaning in. We still keep choosing to like be in community because we know, like you just said, that first of all, every instruction from the Lord is for our good. And so if that's what we were as, Bible believing Christians told to live in this community and be involved in church, I'm going to keep doing that even if it hurts, even if it doesn't go well.
And we should clarify that that is an expectation of the word. Like
Yeah.
some people, well, I mean, I love Jesus, but I don't need the church. The church is just a creation of man. Well, it's not. Like
Mm-hmm.
Jesus, upon this rock, I'll build my church. Jesus
Mm-hmm.
established the church. It's an expectation. So the church wasn't an invention of a man or of woman or of men. It's an invention of the God man. Jesus
Yep.
himself instituted the church. Period. It didn't come about as a result of Rome or Baptist somewhere, something like Jesus instituted the church.
Right.
Is it true that the church has oftentimes been sinful and messed up? 100%. Let
Absolutely.
me
It's people.
show you. So I pastor a church called Malvern Hill Baptist Church, and it is a messed up place. Uh, and if it wasn't, it would have been the day that I became the pastor here. I mean, I'm a messed up guy.
Yeah.
And sometimes I hurt people's feelings, and
Yeah.
sometimes I'm short with my children, and sometimes I'm short with my wife. Sometimes I,
Mm-hmm.
I hurt her feelings, and I don't do that on purpose. I love her. Like I
Right.
would fight you for her, and I've never hit a woman, but I would fight you for her.
Yeah.
Uh, I mean, and so let me just like if you're listening to this and you're not plugged into a local church, first of all, let me just if your excuse is, well, it's just a creation of man, it's not a big deal. It is a huge deal, and
Mm-hmm.
it's Jesus's creation, okay? But
Mm-hmm.
it's not just that it's Jesus' creation. The Bible goes on to say the church is the bride of Christ, and so like Blake, are you in Texas? No, no,
In Southern Louisiana.
Louisiana. It's about the same thing.
Yeah.
You know, if you and I lived closer to one another, and you said, "Man, that Craig, he's a cool guy." Like, let's just assume, let's play a game. You know, like he's really fun. And you talk to your husband, you're like, "Hey, we should go hang out with Craig," and he met me, and he was like, "Man, he is so cool. Like, we should go shoot guns together, whatever he's going to do."
Yeah.
And would he shoot
It would
guns
be
with?
that. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. But then, like, we got together, and he and I shot guns for a while, and you're like, but you were like, but Angela's, she's just trash. Like, I don't know, I
Oh,
don't want to be around her at all. Guess what? Our friendship just ended,
right.
like pretty quickly.
Yep.
The moment you were like, his wife is unenjoyable. Whoops.
We
Y'all
have nothing in common now.
we're done.
Yeah.
Why do we believe that we're able to say that the bride of Christ is unworthy of our love and affection?
Yeah.
And believe that in the process that Jesus is going to say, great job. This is
That's what
his
I want for
bride.
you.
His
Yeah.
bride. And it's for our good. And so, like, if you've been hurt by the church, I'm sorry. I'm a
Hmm.
pastor. I've hurt people before. I've
Hmm.
had to go and apologize because I've, said things I shouldn't have said. I cussed in a sermon one time. It was awful.
Oh
Awful.
no.
I didn't even know I did it. I didn't even know I did it. Like, I had no idea. It wasn't like I did it on purpose. And I don't have a filthy mouth. Like, I mean, I'm just like,
Yeah.
ooh, I'm listening to the sermon the next day on a Monday, and I'm no, 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 and they go, and then, whoa, holy
Oh
cow!
Lord.
I back it up, and one of our other pastors was walking by. I said, "Hey, hey, hey!"
Did you hear this?
He goes, "Oh yeah, you did. Oh yeah, you did." I was like, "Oh my goodness!" I mean, what do you do at that point in time? I mean, like, I did it. It wasn't like I could deny it. So we just edited it out and moved on. But
Yeah.
uh, and I mean, like, so if you've been hurt by the church, goodness gracious, I'm sorry. I am so sorry.
Yeah,
But don't throw the baby out with the bathwater here.
exactly.
You know?
And also you have to like stay to make the change. Like if there are things
Yeah.
we just had this whole conversation with people that we go to church with that like, yeah, no church is perfect, first of all. Like there's humans involved.
But when you got there, it got messed up.
Exactly. Like that's just go ahead and just take that off the table entirely as an option. But if you do see things within your church community that you like that you can filter through the word and it comes into agreement with it that maybe needs to be better, why don't you like lean in and be a part of making that change? And that's not to say that we don't change churches. People, like that's a whole different conversation, but I think that that is a huge detriment to a lot of marriages walking around is that they're trying to do it surrounded by the people that they work with that maybe
Mhm.
don't love Jesus, going back to the
Yeah.
example that you gave, and I think no one it's hard enough to find people that are rooted and going to give you good advice.
Yeah.
Honestly, sometimes within the church,
Mhm.
much less outside of it. And so going back really quick to going first, what can that look like? Like we
So,
talked about
yeah.
apology.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I should have pulled that thread a little
No,
further.
it's okay.
I, I, I think that one of the things for me personally, and for many people that I've dealt with, one of the challenges is that if we don't get good at apology is like a muscle that we
Mm-hmm.
exercise, and if I don't use it often enough, it atrophies.
Mm-hmm.
And so one of the things I encourage people to do is find something to apologize for every day. Like,
Mm.
I want you to apologize constantly. I want you to apologize your kids, your wife, the people around you. Like, uh, if y'all get up in the morning and you have to reach in front of her to get your toothbrush, I'm sorry that I did that. Like, does that really require an apology when nobody even wants to be speaking early in the morning? No. But if I apologize for the things that are not big deals,
Mm-hmm.
then when there is a big deal, the apology comes a little bit easier.
Yeah, you've practiced.
Yeah, practiced it. So it's kind of like tithing. When you learn to tithe 10 cents on a dollar, then $10 on 100, 100 on 1,000 comes a little bit easier.
Yeah.
And that's the step that I would encourage. If you're just stuck in it today, you're just stuck and you just don't know if you can go first. Okay, maybe you can't go first on that big thing, but could you start small?
Mm-hmm.
Start with something small. And if you don't think that you can get there, write it down. You know, what might it look like if you just wrote your wife a note that just said, "Listen, I've been bearing a grudge against you. Maybe you wouldn't use that language. Maybe you say, I've been ticked off at you, or I've been angry, whatever the word you want to use, right? I've had a grudge against you for the last week. I've not treated you appropriately. I'm tired of trying to figure out who's right or who's wrong. I want to fight for us.
Yeah.
You put it on a
Yeah.
post, you stick it on the bathroom mirror when you go to bed, and that's the first thing
Yeah.
she sees when she wakes up in the morning. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you what, you write that on a post-it note, stick it on the bathroom mirror before you go to bed at night, you're gonna sleep better tonight than you did last night.
Yeah.
You
No,
know,
absolutely.
and I guarantee you this. You write that on a post-it note. When she gets up in the morning, the first thing on her lips is not going to be an interest or a desire to argue with you, right?
Because
Because
you went first.
right, you took that step. You said to her, "We matter more than me.
Mm-hmm.
This matters more than whatever." We attended a marriage seminar a few years ago. 15 years ago maybe now. And at the time, it seemed kind of silly because of the way he did an exercise, but it's so true. He said, if you can, before you find yourself in the middle of an argument, just look at your spouse and say, what there is between us right now doesn't matter as much as us.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah. And just communicating that alone can diffuse
Yeah.
the whole situation. My husband and I got in a little tiff. All of our tiffs are in the kitchen because we do things very differently in the kitchen and we just get annoyed with each other. Like if we're trying to
drinking more coffee. I find that helps everything, honestly.
Yeah, more caffeine usually helps the situation for me. I'm kidding. I can't drink caffeine because it makes me really
Your
crazy.
problem.
That is the problem. But we had gotten aggravated with each other, and had gone out to his office, and I was making beignets, and I brought him out there, and he wasn't out there.
Whoa.
Pause.
Whoa. That is a good way to go first. For those of you trying to figure out if you'll make beignets, that is an excellent way to say, here.
Right. Well, so even better, I bring them out there like the way that he likes them. He's not out. They're hot. There's cane syrup with them. I can't wait
for Angela to listen to this podcast.
But wait, so I go out there, he's nowhere to be found. So now I'm not gonna lie, I was a little aggravated. I'm like, I've come out here with a peace offering.
I went first.
Where the heck are you? And but I put it on his desk and I wrote a little note. I was like, I'm sorry, that was ridiculous. Like of me, I love you. I don't want to fight.
And there were beignets.
And with beignets next to it.
He didn't fight you after that, did he?
No, we were totally fine after that. But
I'll be honest, if he did, I was going to give you my number, have him call me. We were going to have some counseling. I was going to get this straight.
But when he came in, it was so sweet because he was like, this was not like, thank you for apologizing, but this was not like, it was not that big between us, And so like, sometimes when you go first, you find out, because I was kind of in my head. I was like, oh, that was like really ridiculous. We just kind of got in. I literally think it was about the oil to fry the beignets in, if I remember correctly. And he was like, this was not. So like sometimes if you just go first, you find out that the thing wasn't even a thing that you thought it was.
Yeah, we can create these narratives in our head.
Yeah.
And the next thing, I've had this conversation with one of my kids a lot recently. That just for whatever reason, like you know, what is it cold outside? It's no, or yes. What's the temperature? I don't know. It's cold. Do you think I need a coat? Do you think everybody else will be wearing a coat when I get to school? Do you think because it's cold, these things are going to happen? Is it going to snow today? I'm like, whoa. Let's not build a narrative around one little piece of information, but man, let's
back it up. Yes, absolutely. And another thing I was going to
sideways, I'm like, what? Why are you mad at me?
Right. Now we're in a fight.
Yeah. And it's like, baby, I have a headache. Well, did I give you a headache?
Right. Is that my fault? No. But I think another way that we can go first that I've been trying to encourage some of my friends that have been kind of been struggling is like, I asked my friend the other day, are you praying for him? Like at all?
Bring Jesus into it.
I know. Sorry. Like I am going to be that friend. Like, have you prayed for him at all? And she looked at me and I was like, I know. I'm annoyed with myself for asking, but it's a real question. And she's like, what do I even, I'm like, just pray, just talk to God about him. Like, that's a really great thing about the Holy Spirit is he'll help you out.
And how often can we just like I'm a pastor. I read the Bible for a living. I get paid to study God's word. I mean, you can see all these books behind me, and half of those are resource books so but long story short, we had to buy a vehicle a few weeks ago, and wasn't a planned expense, right? Get just some things went,
Never is.
yeah, and so we're sitting at the table with the whole family. We're having this conversation because my son was home from college. We're all having this conversation, and I'm just like I'm whining about it. Just to be totally honest, like I don't like the idea. I mean, I'm the guy getting a new truck, but I'm still
Mm.
just hyping about it. And my she's 17. She's turned 17. My daughter, she just looks up. And she goes, "Have you prayed about that?"
Oh.
And I'm like, "Just shut up." You know, did you pray about asking me that question? Because like, who do you? I'm the pastor at this table, so
Yeah,
y'all are
yeah,
all dismissed, right? I'm done. I'm done.
yeah.
But I mean, so often
Yeah.
we forget. You know, we forget. It's easy for me to pray for my wife when she doesn't feel well or when she got these things going on. But when she's made me mad, yeah, I'm praying for her to get her mind right. You know,
Right.
Lord help her to understand
That
that.
I'm right. Exactly. And that she's wrong, and so that my husband and I just did an episode for the like anniversary of the podcast, and he kind of told the story of like in our struggles when we were kind of not in a great place, he's the one that went first, that
Wow.
he realized, that like God has put me as like the leader over this home and I'm not leading well, so I'm going to go ahead and go first. And he talked about like having which retrospect, like we were sitting there talking about it, and I'm looking at him like, this does not make me sound great, but okay. He was like, I like would pray about like ways to like love her well, pray about ways to
Was it
like,
lovable?
right. I'm like, I mean, I get it. I get where you're going with this. And like, I'm thankful for the feedback, but it's true that
Made
like,
you beignets.
I know that was recent though. That I was not doing that back then for sure. But yeah, I think that that's like another really viable way to step into this, that like if you're listening to us talk about going first by apologizing and you're like, absolutely not, do not sign me up for that, okay, pray about it, talk to God
Pray
about it.
about it and run to God's word. Like that's
Right.
just justify that scripturally. And if you're worried about spiritual warfare in your family, are you willing to allow the Holy Spirit to do a work in your own heart?
Mm-hmm.
And I've had some people looked at me and said, I don't believe that God would desire this for me, but this is what I'm gonna do anyway. Well, you know what? At least those people are honest.
At least you're
Let's,
honest.
let's not bathe it in scripture. Let's tell the truth about what we're doing. But again, I like if I'm not careful, like I can sound like this angry Southern Baptist pastor and just beating people up, and I'm not. I'm a fan of marriages. I'm a fan of, and I'm a fan of husbands. Like when you walk into my office, if y'all show up at my office today for premier or for marriage counseling, like when you walk in the door, my assumption is that your husband is wrong. Like that's and it for me that's built off of my biblical assumption that a husband has a responsibility to
Right.
sacrifice for his family. I do think that sometimes in fighting for our family, a husband can lose sight of what his role is.
Mm-hmm.
People like to talk about husband's leadership in the home. I don't think that's appropriate. Paul doesn't actually say, husbands, lead your wives as Christ led his church.
Mm-hmm.
And men, if you're listening to this, I need you to hear me. He doesn't say, husbands, lead your wife. He says, wives, submit to your husbands, and husbands, love your wives as Christ loved his church.
Yeah.
Like we can miss that. And when we make it about leadership, we've ceased to make it about godliness and about Christ likeness, because Jesus specifically said, we don't lead as the Gentiles lead. We don't lord it over them. What
Right.
did Jesus's leadership, I put that in scare quotes, look like? Jesus's leadership was loving service. He girded himself with a towel and washed his disciples' feet.
Right.
And husbands, if you're going to fight for your families, you got to stop fighting with them. You got to start fighting for them. And you've got to serve that wife that God's given to you. You've got to sacrifice for that wife that God's given to you. I mean, let me assure you, like in Craig Thompson's economy, the only reason Craig was the one that got a new vehicle recently is because my wife is already driving a nice vehicle. You know,
Right.
if
Yeah.
somebody's got to drive a beater, it won't be her, it will be me. You
Yeah.
know, If somebody's got to take a bullet, it won't be her. It's going to be me. If somebody's got to get up early to get the things taken care of, it won't be her. It'll be me. If I'm able to, I'm going to do it because
And that
that's
is the
my
kind of love that
responsibility.
women are going to be willing to submit to and
Yeah,
able to.
that 100%. Yeah, 100%. Like I am yet to meet a woman who has a man who puts her on a pedestal, who says, you know what, I don't want to honor him. I don't want to.
Mm,
You know what she's like? She's like, Psh, look, he brought me coffee
yeah.
in bed yesterday.
Yeah.
I made him beignets. That is
Right. But that really is like what he was talking
this.
about when he
He
talked
got
about
this
going
because I
first.
got everything I wanted. Yep, I got everything I wanted. Right. And
Exactly.
guys, I mean, if you're a man listening to this and you're wanting that wife to be that Proverbs 31 woman, be a Proverbs 31 man.
Yeah.
Like we miss the fact that Proverbs 31 is more likely than not a eulogy for a woman who has lived a life well. And who's going to give a eulogy? He's going to probably her husband.
Hmm.
You know, their children rose up and call her blessed. She does all these things, all this stuff. Why? She sees a field. She goes and buys it. She's enterprising. What gives her the ability in that world, in that time? The only way a woman could have accomplished any of that is when she had a husband that empowered her to do all of those things,
Exactly.
and he did.
Exactly.
So, guys, you want a Proverbs 31 woman? Great. Me too. Go be a Proverbs 31 husband. Turns out you're going to be able. This is going to sound horrible. Don't sound bite me. You're going to be able to create that Proverbs 31 woman, right?
Yeah, no, but I
Uh,
mean it's true.
and, and,
You're
and
you're
learn.
gonna pull it out of her. You're
Yeah.
going to like make space for that person to exist because that is what Jeremy did. He was like, I am not being the husband that I want to be, so I'm gonna go first. I'm gonna change. I'm gonna dig into my relationship with the Lord. I'm gonna look for ways to love her, even if she's being unlovable, you know? And as I watched him change, it was kind of like, I mean, you were talking about being competitive earlier. It was kind of like, well, shoot, I I want to keep up. I want to like be able to be this person, you know, and be that with him. And our relationship has changed so significantly as a result.
Okay, but let's talk about ladies because if you got that, you're trying to create that Proverbs 31 man. How do you get there? Because I would imagine that for your podcast, it's more women than men, and
Mm-hmm.
so some of these ladies are like, "Hey, that's great. I'd love to have a Proverbs 31 husband, but like Johnny won't even unload the dishwasher. You know,
Mm-hmm.
he won't take his muddy boots off before he walks through the house, and I'm so tired of sweeping mud.
Or
Well,
even if it's not like the like physical things, it's like he doesn't talk to me. He
yeah.
doesn't listen to me. He like
So
these very real things.
yeah, 100%, right? He doesn't care enough. So
Mm-hmm.
let me help you a little bit, ladies. And like you have so much power over your husband, so much power, but it's not power in the way that most ladies appreciate or recognize or realize. You'll never nag him into being the man that you want him to be, but you can praise him into being the man that you want him to be. We men are simple creatures. We are basically 12-year-olds in grown-up bodies with expensive toys. Like
Yep.
we still laugh at the same jokes we laughed at when we were 12. It's just true. I am a 44-year-old man with a beautiful wife, four great kids, two advanced degrees, and I pastor a wonderful church. And I can still laugh at the same things I laughed at when I was in the seventh grade, 100%.
Absolutely.
My wife still rolls her eyes when my middle schooler tells a joke and I fall out of my chair. Um, but we are attention hogs as simple creatures. We are attention hogs. You want a man that does those things. I want you to praise him when he does something you want him to do. It's kind of back to the going first thing, Blake. A lot of
Yeah.
guys, ladies, girls, women, whatever, go, well, I shouldn't have to praise him for loading the dishwasher, right? Okay, fine. Don't. Like, stand on your principle. That's great. You
Yeah.
do that. That's fine. But don't be shocked when he doesn't do it tomorrow.
Right.
Okay. He unloads that dishwasher. You walk past and slap him in the butt, kiss him on the cheek, and tell him what a great job he did. Good chance tomorrow night he's going to spot doing it again. You know,
Yeah.
if you up your game, you use your Facebook platform tonight to tell the world what a great job your husband did when he came home early. You're not gonna be surprised to see him do it again.
Yeah.
And I've seen women change men's posture in public because he was standing there among his friends or among his peers, and she looked at the group and she said, "You bought me a new shirt last week, and I'm wearing it today." And that man just stands up straight and goes,
Mm-hmm.
"That's right. That's right. That is
Yeah.
100% right." Do you want to know why I buy my wife jewelry? I'm selfish. I ain't gonna lie. I buy her those things because I want to see her wear it in public and people to go, "What is that?" And I go, "Ha ha!
That was
I
me.
So ladies, like if you will celebrate him, like get over the fact that he shouldn't have to be. All right, that's your position. Whatever. Get over it and you decide. What do you want? Do you want to stand on your principle or do you want that man that just makes over you? Because you can this won't work every time, but I'm gonna tell you for a lot of y'all, you can turn him into that man.
It really is such a cheat code. It really is. Their name is escaping me, but I did an interview with a couple last year, and that was the whole basis of their book. And the conversation was just that men are hardwired for praise. They are hardwired for words of affirmation and for love through, verbal communication. And that in those early times of maybe going first in that way, you may have to get creative. Like it may have to be about, load the dishwasher or, these very simple, small things that your female nature is going to go, I'm not giving him a compliment for that. That was the bare minimum. Like I'm not doing it. But it nourishes, makes men want to do it again. And my husband and I just had like a little check-in the other day where I was like, okay, like remind me, what do I do that makes you feel loved? Like I just want to make sure that I'm doing those things. And he was like, just
Beignet.
when
Just want to keep
beignets was top of the list. But like
100%.
he was like, when you tell me that you're proud of me, when you notice that I made an effort, when you like say nice things about me in front of people. I was like, okay, yeah, though that's what I figured. But I just wanted to like check in on it.
True. We are so simple. We
Yeah.
are so simple.
It really is. And
Ladies,
I know like that women are listening to this and they're like, ugh, I don't want to do that. Okay, pray about it.
yeah.
Pray about it.
Come on. If you can't do that, stop by on your way home tonight. Just buy him a new Yeti cup. Just walk in the door and say, "Hey, I thought about you today.
Yeah.
I appreciate what you do for our family.
Yeah.
It's not much, but you know what? I appreciate you, and I want you to know that.
Yeah.
Like
And you
you,
break the cycle when you do that.
yeah.
Like you
And
guys are stuck in this toxic back and forth.
yeah. Let's just say y'all been fighting for the past 3 weeks, and you walk in the door, and all you have is a $35 camouflage Yeti cup. I don't know what you got, right? You walk in the door, and he's like, "Who's that for?" And you just say, "Hey, you know what? I just thought about it. Things have been tense around here, and I haven't told you I appreciated you. And in spite of everything else, I just want you to know that I love you. And every time you drink out of this cup, maybe you can remember that there's something worth fighting for here." That
Game
costs you
changer.
$35 and 37 seconds. And tomorrow morning, when he pours coffee in that, he's going to look at that. And some dude, because we are like, we're 12-year-olds, so we like gear. And somebody's go, "Oh, did you get a new cup?" And he's going to
Yeah.
say, "My wife bought me that cup."
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And like, I don't know, like, I can't communicate to people how it makes me feel when I say my wife picked that out.
Yeah.
Like, I'm careful. I'm going to sound like such a pitiful human. Um, like I will look at a shirt and pull it off to wear some days and go, "Oh, I'm not going to see anybody today. I'll wait till tomorrow when I'm going to be around a bunch of people so that I can tell them where I got this shirt from."
Yeah.
I want them to know that my wife bought me this shirt.
Yeah.
And that's again, y'all. I promise. Some of y'all don't know me. I'm not as needy as I sound. But I do it. I do. And celebrate his hobbies. Like I lift weights for fun. That's my physical fitness thing is mostly lifting. I've lifted weights since I was 14 years old. So I love to lift and work out. And like it just occurred to me that there's a something that I didn't I can't say this without telling. So it occurred to me the other day that for almost 30 years, I've been able to bench press over 300 pounds, which whether you care or not, right, doesn't matter to me. But
Yeah.
I just never thought about it, and
Yeah.
so I texted my wife. I was like, weird thing that nobody's ever going to care about. But, that's
Yeah.
just, it's,
Yeah. That's cool.
I think I'll be able to make that for 40 years, right?
Yeah.
It should be able to. And I mean, I got this response from her that was like, that is awesome. And I'm so proud of you. And look here, I was sitting in a deer stand. I almost left to go work out because she was proud of me.
Yeah.
If I hadn't been sitting there with one of my kids, I'd have been gone. I'm doing push-ups, I'm doing whatever because she said it was awesome. Guess
Yeah.
what? None of the women listening to this are going to care. But there's one woman on planet Earth that said it was great. And so I
That's all that
made sure
matters.
that I lifted yesterday. Like
Yeah.
I just got 5 more years of physical health because my wife told me it was a good thing.
Yeah.
So
We have a lot of power, and I think we have choices about how we wield it. And I think, like I was kind of saying earlier, I think we can get stuck in this cycle, and it's going to require an immense amount of humility
mm,
and love to go first, to kind of step out of the storm and go, because I think a lot of people are going, I don't want to fight anymore. And I'm like, okay, then do something about it. Like,
yeah, and Blake, how about this? Let's not forget that with all the power that you have as a woman, it can be used for good or ill.
yeah.
And you have the power to transform your husband. But I would also tell you that there's nobody who has more power than a wife to destroy a man and to tear him.
Hmm.
So be careful. I had a friend once that that bought his wife a gift, and he put thought into it. Like I know because he came to me and said, "What about? I'm looking for something." I was like, you know what? I bought this for Angela, and she loved it. So man,
Yeah.
I said, I bought it. My brother bought his wife, and so and so bought his wife, and like you can't lose with this. Like so, I mean, legitimately. And she opened the gift, and she laughed at him. She was, "Psh, I don't want this."
Oh,
And I was like, come on, like even if not, like I mean, even if not, like
yeah.
don't do that.
Right.
I, I bought. We just got through Christmas, and I'm a gift giver. I love to give and receive gifts, and so and I like to win with my gifts. Like if I find
I
something,
knew you were going to say that.
well, I don't necessarily mean like I need to beat her. I just like I
You want to feel like you won.
I want to be like
Yeah.
this is something you wanted.
Yeah.
Like me and my youngest son stopped by a jewelry store years ago on a whim and bought my wife a necklace. Spent more than I intended to, but I was really nervous about it. She's taken it off one time in 10 years.
Yeah.
And I know, right?
That's a
So
win.
yeah, 100%. So I bought her a bracelet. I was by myself. I've got teenage daughters now, so they usually go with me or I get their input. But this, I said, no, no, just I picked that out at a store in town, and I showed it to my girls, and they laughed at it. They did. They were like, "Dad, I don't
Mm.
like that." And then I bought some earrings. They were like, "Oh, Dad, I don't know." You know what? You know what? Last week I looked up. She was wearing a bracelet and earrings, and I looked at my girls. I said, "Y'all are stupid, and you don't know." So I mean, that's like, but that's all it took for her just to
Yeah.
encourage. I think we've gotten off topic a little bit, maybe, but just your family's worth fighting for, and
Yeah.
it's being uncomfortable for.
Yep. And it's
It
worth having to like lay down your pride
yeah,
and do something that you don't want to do. Like, because do you want to keep living like this is the
mhm,
other question. So like maybe you don't want to go first, maybe you don't want to say the kind thing, maybe you don't want to apologize, maybe you don't want to pray. Do you want to keep living the way that you're living is the
yeah.
ultimate question. And there are so many people that I'm like, I refuse to believe that this is what you want for your life.
And even if you can't get to that place, is it what you want for your children's lives?
Right.
Because they're learning how to be a husband by watching you. They're learning how to
Right.
be a wife by watching you. One of the most terrifying things, my girls are learning what a husband is and should be by watching me.
Exactly.
They're gonna marry me,
Right.
right? They're going to marry. So whatever they see from me is what they're going to seek out in a husband. So guess what? I want to make sure that they see from me a man that loves, that cares, that provides, a man that I don't have to beat up one day.
Right.
That's what I need. So your family's worth fighting for, and just don't miss it. Like uh, spiritual warfare is real, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and it's worth you dying to yourself every
Yeah.
day for the sake of a greater good. And God's given you the privilege and the blessing of family. We've talked about all the hard things you have to do, but let's not forget that you're doing this because on the other side, I mean, I love hearing you talk about your husband. It's such a wonderful thing. It's like, hey, on the backside of that, everything got better. I
Yeah.
bet you that you looked in the moment that you guys were in the middle of your hard time, like you were so committed to being right or whatever it is. But now you're like, what in the world was I doing? There's joy,
Oh my gosh.
so much
He
joy.
he's
Yeah,
my, like, you said, like, this is my ride or die earlier. Like, he is my best friend. I
yeah,
don't, like, we constantly are like, I don't really need much else. Like,
yeah,
everything else is extra at this
yeah.
point, and so, but we fought for that. And I think that that is what we both have communicated through this entire conversation, is like, it is a fight, but it's a fight worth fighting together for
And,
one another.
and don't believe the lie, and Satan will lie to you. Like I
Mm-hmm.
remember this. Like Jesus calls you by your name. Okay. The devil will call you by your sin,
Yep.
right? He will accuse you. In don't believe all the lies that it's not possible.
Amen.
So you grew up maybe you grew up in a family that didn't value marriage. Maybe you grew up in a household where your father didn't love your mother well, your mother didn't love your father well. Break the cycle today. It's okay if that's not what you saw. It's not okay, but what I mean is like if that's not been your experience, make a decision, break the cycle. I
Yeah.
want you to know that you can have a happy and fulfilling marriage. You can. You can.
Yes.
If you're listening to this, you can have a happy and fulfilling marriage. If you can't figure out how, go to my website, send me an email. It's makeitordinary.org. Send me an email. I would love to help you get there. I know Blake would love to help you get there. You can
Yeah.
have it, but you're gonna have to fight a little bit every day.
Yep.
One of the things I even talk about in the book that a lot of people don't address at all when it comes to marriage is fighting for your own physical health. Like if I'm gonna be the man that my wife needs me to be, like I want her to be attracted enough to me to climb into bed beside me at night. Well, part of what that means is I need to do things that I need to do to make sure that I'm not a bum. I need to get a haircut every once in a while. I need to make sure I don't smell bad. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
um, I'm going to go home and work out this afternoon. And even if I don't have the motivation to do that, which usually I do, but even if I don't, I'm going to look at her and I'm going to say, I want her to continue liking me. So I'm going to take care of me. I want to be able to play with my grandkids one day. So I'm going to take,
Exactly.
those are the things, just constantly being willing, understanding that the world around us doesn't celebrate marriage. It might
No.
be the friends around you don't celebrate marriage, and there's an old adage that you're sort of the average of the five people you spend the most time with. If you work outside your home, then you're spending a lot of time with people that you work with. Really ask yourself the question about whether or not the people that you work with are people that value marriage and
Mm-hmm.
celebrate marriage. If they are, if they're not, you need to ask yourself the question whether or not they're the people that you need to be going to with your marriage problems, right? If you don't have a church family, go find one. I said recently, and I just think it's true. If you're a father, a mother, you're a husband and wife, and you said even if you didn't believe anything else that the Bible teaches, if you didn't believe that Jesus was the Son of God, if you didn't believe you're in desperate need of a Savior, if you said the only thing I know that I want is I want to find some healthy married people that I can model my life after. I can't imagine a better place to find it than a healthy local church.
Yeah. Absolutely.
If nothing else, you show up there and you say, I'm going to find somebody that I want to be like when I grow up. And you
Yep.
just, man, what do they do? How does he treat his wife? How does
Yep.
she treat her husband? And then after you get to know them a little bit, you go, hey, my kids are 8 and 11. What did you do when your kids were 8 and 11?
Yep.
I need to be doing differently. And then just attach yourself to those people
Yeah.
that have the same desires that you have, which is to find success and joy and happiness in a marriage. So
Yeah. That's so good. Yeah, no, that is so good. And I think there's a lot from this conversation that people are going to be able to, like, tangibly walk away with and do. And so I am so thankful for your time and for this conversation. And people can get your book wherever they get books. That book is out. Thank you so much for your time. This was
I
great.
appreciate it. Yeah, it's a real honor to be with you, and I appreciate all that you're doing. I would appreciate if you'd pick up the book. It's called Fighting for Your Family. It's on Amazon.com, and if you want to find out more about me, the website is not craigthompson.org. It's makeitordinary.org. So Ordinary Christian
Awesome.
Ministries is the ministry. So, and I have a podcast, Blake. I should get you on this one.
Yes. I would love that. We
That'd be
clearly have no problem coming up with
talk.
something to talk about.
Ordinary Christian podcast. But thank you so much for allowing me to be a part of your podcast today.